Hello, everybody. This is Teacher Levy. Today, I'll be making another slow English video. Recently, notice recently, I filmed a video in the pool where I spoke about a lesson plan which I give to my students where you can use Engoo in Article website for English learners, and also Listen in English, where you can find videos to help your listening comprehension, but also to work on other areas, for example, grammar, vocabulary, sentence building. These videos are designed to help you improve your listening comprehension and also work on your pronunciation. Today, you will see my student's homework and also listen to his audio recording, which I asked him to do, and he has allowed me to share it on YouTube. So we'll look at that today. Notice we'll look at that today. Also, if you stick around, to stick around is to stay until the end, we'll share a special assignment, homework assignment, which I do with Milton. And I'll share that at the end as well. It is another recording which could perhaps be useful to look at and study. I have some notes, so we'll go over corrections, mistakes from the homework. If you have not seen the previous video, then I will add it into the description. Perhaps that will help explain the idea or the structure of these lessons, which I give to some students. So I would recommend to check that out or to look at that video. First, we'll look at the Engoo article, and I will put it on screen, and then I'll read it as well. We can read it together so you can practice your shadowing. This is the homework which I sent Milton. And first we'll read the article. Notice article. And then we'll look at his summary, his response. So, influencers, phones, how people shop in the US. Christmas shopping, birthday shopping, or unnecessary late night shopping. All of it has never been easier. And according to a new survey, 76%, notice 76% of people in the US now shop online using their smartphones. Although among people aged 30, notice 30 to 49, this increases with as many as 92% using their phones to buy things online. However, that doesn't mean that traditional shops are a thing of the past. More than half of the people surveyed said they prefer shopping in a physical store to online. This all came from a report by the Pew Research Center. In July 2022, it asked around 6,000 adults in the US about the way they shop online. Pew's survey also found that 69% of people have made a purchase using a computer. Notice computer. The word notice, I say to pay attention to a word. Notice computer, pay attention to the pronunciation of computer, computer. Although just 28% have done so on a tablet. Tablet. 32% said they buy something online using their phone at least once a week. This was true for almost half of the 30 to 49-year-olds surveyed, but only 11% of over 65-year-olds. Not only has the way we shop changed over time, the way companies advertise is different too. Reports suggest that brands now spend billions of dollars on paying influencers to promote their products. According to the survey results, they may be getting a return on their investment. 39% of social media users said that influencers have at least a little, notice little, impact on what they buy. Among adult women under the age of 29, 57% said influencers had a little impact on what they decide to purchase. And 5% said they had a big impact. Okay, that was the article. Now let's read Milton's summary. Remember, I recommend to write a summary of what you read, of the article, and this is what Milton wrote. So I will read it and then say my corrections. According to a survey made with people from the US, they found that 76% of those people shop online using their smartphones. And among people aged 30 to 49, this increases, with 92% of them using their phones to shop online. However, traditional shops aren't a thing of the past because more than half of the people prefer to buy in a physical store compared to online. This research was made in 2022, and they asked around 6,000 people. They also found that 69% of people have made it using a PC, although just 26% used a tablet. From the people between 30 to 49 years old, they said that used to buy by using their phones at least once a week, although only 11% of 65s had done so. In this research, they also realized that the way companies advertise is different too, and they suggest that brands now spend billions of dollars on paying influencers to promote their products. For 38% of social media users, the influencers have at least a little impact on what they buy. 57% of adult women said that influencers had a little impact on what they decided to purchase, and 5% assumed they had a big impact. Okay, hopefully you are able to read his handwriting. We can say his handwriting, but I will leave it on screen and go over what I think could be changed. Keep in mind, these don't have to be perfect, and we're still trying to maintain the original idea from his summary. Just tweak. To tweak is to adjust, to tweak a little, some things. Okay, first, according to a survey made with people from the US, maybe it's not wrong, but doesn't sound very natural. Instead, we could say, according to a survey of US participants, buy in a physical store, buy from a physical store. 69% of people have made it, made a purchase, just so it is, notice it is, more clear what we are talking about. Have made a purchase. 26% used a tablet, have used, because earlier we said have made, and this way the sentence is more consistent. So have used a tablet. They said that used to buy using their phones at least once a week. They said that they usually buy something from their phones, or they're used to buying something from their phones at least once a week. Either of those two would be a more appropriate sentence, or part of that sentence. Only 11% of 65s, of over 65s, remember, over 65s, they suggest, reports suggest, they suggest seems like a recommendation. For example, I suggest you lose weight. A report suggests that 20% of people are addicted to their phones, would mean a report is saying or trying to say. Pay attention to those differences. 5% assumed they ... assume, similar to think. In this case, said is better. 5% said that they would purchase or they would buy. So that was Engoo, which I'll put the link, all the links in the description so you can read it yourself. Now we'll move on to Listen in English, the second assignment. This was an episode from Friends, which I sent Milton. I won't play the episode or the clip because perhaps it would get copyrighted by YouTube. So I will put his writing and also play his recording because he recorded himself reading his summary. So you can read and listen and also perhaps take notes to what you think is incorrect. Pay attention to pronunciation as well. And then after, we'll review and I'll share what I think could be changed.
Firstly, I think this video is part of a TV series called Friends, and they are very popular in my country. In this scene, we can see two friends trying to prove They know women better than women know them. They suggest a bet, which was accepted by the girls. The challenge was to guess at least 6 items that were inside the girls' bag. They did very well in their game because they got all the 6 items from the bag. At the end, the girls needed to pay $10 for them for having lost the bet. And that's it.
Okay, let's go over what I would correct. The pronunciation first, called, we wouldn't say called. We would use the silent E and say called. Called. And it is very popular in my country. Not they are, because we are not talking about Friends. We're talking about the show called Friends. So it is very popular in my country. The pronunciation of women versus a woman. Notice a woman or women. Pay attention to those differences. They think they know the women better than the women know them. Here we could also say the guys, the girls, perhaps some of you might have said that, but women is not wrong, so we can keep the structure, just change the words a little. They suggested a bet is maybe better. Accepted. The pronunciation we want to pay attention to. Tid, accepted. He said was to guess at least. I would say was to correctly guess or guess correctly, but I think that is an appropriate word to add to correctly guess at least. All 6 items from the bag, not all the 6 items from the bag, without the. Pay $10 to them or pay them $10 is even better. Pay them $10. All right, so at the end, I said there would be a bonus. This is a separate assignment. Notice separate assignment, which I do with Milton, which is I give him verses from Scripture. Scripture is from the Bible, a book, and I have him read them and record himself. So we'll also review his Scripture homework. So I'll put the picture on the screen and also play his recording. Pay attention to the pronunciation, but don't focus so much on names of people or places. Those could be important. Later, but for now, the pronunciation of everyday words are more of what we're focusing on. So let's listen and take notes.
Matthew chapter 2, verse 19 to 23. After Herod died, an angel of the Lord appeared in a dream to Joseph in Egypt and said, "Get up, take the child and his mother and go to the land of Israel, for those who were trying to take the child's life are dead." So he got up, took the child and his mother, and went to the land of Israel. But when he heard that Archelaus was reigning in Judea in place of his father Herod, he was afraid to go there. Having been warned in a dream, he withdrew to the district of Galilee. And he went and lived in a town called Nazareth. So was fulfilled what was said through the prophets, that he would be called a Nazarene.
Okay, so there are a few words which I highlighted and wrote down. The first is Egypt, the country. Egypt. I know I said let's not focus on names of people or places, but Egypt is a country, so that one is good to know. The next is heard. To hear, I heard. I heard. The next is raining, similar to from the sky. It is raining or he was raining. To rain, raining. Warned, not warned, but warned. Silent E, warned. Withdrew. He withdrew. To withdraw, in the past, he withdrew. Withdrew. And the last is called. We have talked about this earlier. Not called, but silent E, called. Called. Similar to warned. So thank you for watching. Hopefully this was helpful. Perhaps some of these mistakes you are making as well. Thank you to Milton for letting me share this with others. And I encourage you to practice on your own, speak with yourself, and every day do a little bit of English practice. I'll also share that I have lessons available. In the description, you can find the link if you would like to speak with me and learn English. Thank you for your support, for the comments, the feedback. I would ask you, if you found this video helpful, to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thank you, and bye-bye.